Since the beginning of the 19th century, the idea of manifest destiny was a common theme throughout the United States. It was an era in time where the country began to expand dramatically throughout North America. Eventually, it led to the Pacific and its various islands, including Hawaii. In the words of William McKinley, we need Hawaii just as much and a good deal more than we did California. It is manifest destiny. Americans first began settling in Hawaii during this time period, after being found some years prior by Captain James Cook in 1778. By the 1890s, various events that took place during this time led to the supposed annexation of Hawaii, which was in fact an occupation of the kingdom. In 1898, the annexation led to the dissolution of Hawaiian culture, economic and legal barriers through the legal occupation of the kingdom, the end of Hawaiian monarchy, and granting an American statehood to Hawaii. However, it led to the heightening in social barriers between the two groups through racial discrimination starting around a decade prior, similar to other American imperialist territories throughout history. The booming sugar trade and American military interests was a leading factor that led Hawaii to becoming a U.S. territory in 1898. During the reign of King Kalakaua, brother to Liliuokalani, the rights of Pearl Harbor were ceded to the United States. Additionally, the Bayonet Constitution, which gave whites the right to vote at the cost of the voting power of non-whites, such as the natives of Hawaii and immigrants from Asia. It was signed due to King Kalakaua being forced to do so by white American businessmen in Hawaii. It also stripped the monarchy of much of its power. In 1890, Congress approved a tariff that raised import rates on foreign sugar, causing a depression in Hawaii. This was known as the McKinley Tariff Act of 1890. Most of the sugar growers, who were primarily white Americans, wanted Hawaii's annexation to avoid the tariff. They had raised taxes on foreign imports by 50%. This caused sugar growers and plantations in Hawaii a decline in their business due to being undersold in the American market. The tariff was meant to protect American manufacturers from outside competition, and if Hawaii was annexed by the U.S., the Tariff Act would have no effect. To continue, in 1893, a coup of 1,000 armed local men, led by wealthy businessmen and sugar planters, were formed. The Royal Armed Forces of Hawaii did not resist for fear of bloodshed. A provisional government was then put into place by the Committee of Public Safety. This government pushed for annexation but was delayed by 2 petitions with over 20,000 signatures from Native Hawaiians and Loyalists. President Grover Cleveland, exposing the annexation, also helped play a role in temporarily preventing the annexation from occurring. The Republic of Hawaii was proclaimed on July 4, 1894. In 1895, Wilcox, a Native Hawaiian revolutionary, attempted to overthrow the Republic of Hawaii, along with many other royalists and other anti-annexationists. This attempt was a failure, and evidence such as documents in Liliuokalani's own handwriting, guns, and ammunition was found in her own private residence. After the failed coup, that was the Wilcox Rebellion, Liliuokalani was sentenced to house arrest, while the royalists were held captive and tried. Liliuokalani formally abdicated her throne in exchange for the release and pardon of her followers. Finally, in 1898, American expansion had slowed, but with the unexpected sinking of USS Maine, the Spanish were blamed for the loss of property and life, which led to the United States declaring war on Spain. Eventually, the war came to an American victory. In order to support troops during the war, and secretly to protect the western United States from foreigners, and allow greater space and strength for the American Naval Army who were in the Philippines. Congress approved the Dual House Newlands Resolution, which annexed Hawaii, to acquire Pearl Harbor, which was done without Hawaiian approval. The overthrow of the Hawaiian government began on January 17, 1893, when the Committee of Safety, also known as the Annexation Club, staged a coup d'etat against Queen Liliuokalani. The Annexation Club was formed in 1892 by Lauren A. Thurston and consisted of 13 Caucasian businessmen and lawyers on the island. Their primary goal was to annex the islands to the United States. The Annexation Club also made efforts to prevent the new queen from replacing the constitution the committee created in 1887 that severely limited the powers of the monarchy. The club was able to gain support from the U.S. government, in which a fully armed U.S. warship landed in the Honolulu harbor. On January 16, 1893, U.S. Marines landed and the Committee of Safety declared martial law, which ended Queen Liliuokalani's reign and established a provisional government until union with the U.S. would occur. On July 2, 1894, the provisional government would form into the Republic of Hawaii and would be led by Stanford Dole. On August 12, 1898, the annexation day finally came. As 12 o'clock noon approached, the United States military was proclaimed and a ceremony was held to lower the Hawaiian flag and raise the American flag at Lolani Palace. On July 14, 1900, the U.S. Organic Act was signed by President McKinley, which established the territory of Hawaii as a part of the United States and provided a constitution and government. The act was in effect until the islands were implemented into the Union as a state in 1959. With the transferring of governments of the islands to the United States, Hawaii was under complete American control. This boosted the U.S. economy by opening the islands to tourism on a much larger scale. With the modernizing of jet plane in the 20th century, the middle class, much like the wealthy, who usually traveled by ship, began to arrive on the islands after it eventually was granted its status as a state. Plantations were also a major contribution to the U.S. economy. Since Hawaii has a tropical climate, the islands were very important in cash crop production. Over 80 plantations scattered across the islands, filled with crops like pineapple, sugarcane, coffee, and many tropical fruits. The military was the most impacted by the so-called annexation, with the gaining of Pearl Harbor as a naval base and stronghold to increase the size and strength of the Navy during the Spanish-American War. With the continued American militia occupation, the U.S. maintained a strong military presence to present day, with 11 military bases still active that played a vital role in World War II and many other wars overseas. With a number of Americans in the islands, both tourists and residents, who interacted with native Hawaiians, Hawaiian culture began to be diluted by American culture, also as a result of some Hawaiians being forced to move out of Hawaii due to high living costs. Since the annexation of Hawaii was not taught in the education system, the generations of native Hawaiians post-annexation began losing the knowledge of this event. This is considered an action of denationalization on Hawaii by the U.S., which is a war crime.
The ones who signed a petition against annexation and killed the treaty were different people from the ones who were being educated in the American system imposed in Hawaii. They knew that Hawaii was still Hawaii and the country still existed. It's their children that are now going to be kidnapped in schools through misinformation and deliberate imposition of the English language. So today, the population, by the mere fact that they don't know about Hawaii's occupation, is the evidence of the war crime of denationalization. That's the evidence of the crime.
While under the illegal occupation of the United States as a 50th state, the proud Hawaiian heritage has gone through a cultural, economic, societal, and governmental transformation. Hawaii has become a well-known tourist attraction, even more so than it was before its annexation in recent years for people all over the world. Its cultural core continues to remain intact, but the Western influence that the United States had brought caused long-lasting, impactful changes to the Hawaiian people. Hawaiians continue to face cultural appropriation and judgment due to their beliefs and practices. The United States, on the other hand, secured the military interests of the territory and gained economic benefits due to their occupation. The annexation of Hawaii has relevance to today's world because the United States continues to illegally occupy the kingdom while forcing their own values, rules, and beliefs onto Hawaii's government. Alice Walker once said, "People should know that Hawaii is a country and should be respected as such. Because it was forcibly annexed to the United States does not mean that it is the U.S. except by conquest." Even though Hawaiians have watched their culture diminish right before their very own eyes and may never be its own nation again, the spirit of Hawaii lives on forever in its traditions and people, despite American attempts to do otherwise through the war crime of denationalization. Organizations such as the Council of Regency strive to spread knowledge about the illegal occupation and fight for Hawaii to be recognized as the kingdom it always was.